Edit after years of loving the Alpha King in silence. I left without a word. By dawn, he was searching. What could make someone walk away after loving the Alpha King silently for years? And why would her disappearance send him searching before the sun had fully risen? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Before we begin, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another emotional Alpha King romance filled with longing, heartbreak, regret, and unexpected choices. Thank you so much for continuing to watch, support, and share these stories with us. Your encouragement truly means a lot. Tell us in the comments, would you keep loving someone in silence, or would you eventually choose to walk away? Now settle in, listen closely, and let us begin with the night one silent departure changed everything. Where is Claire? Alpha King Nathan Blackwood's voice cut through the royal chamber before dawn. No one answered. He stood beside the long table where his morning correspondence should have been waiting. It was empty. No sealed diplomatic letters. No writing schedule. No small glass vial of medicine for the headaches that followed a restless wolf night. Nathan frowned. Claire. Still nothing. The door empty. No explanation. Daniel held his gaze. The captain saw a woman resigning from her position. Nathan's voice dropped. As what? Nathan frowned. Nathan remembered the previous evening. Claire standing beside the council table while Chancellor Richard Hayes discussed. Your Majesty? Nathan pulled on his. Nathan had ridden 3 roads before sunrise. Southgate, River Path, Old Trade Road. No Claire. Then a royal messenger found him near the east. Your Majesty, the northern delegation is waiting. Nathan opened the first. Daniel stood near the wall. He said nothing. She made it. Yes. For how long? The corridor outside smelled of winter roses. Nathan stopped. A servant was The servant answered softly. Claire. His chest tight. Everything was still perfectly organized. A life dismantled without disrupting his. That somehow made it worse. Daniel entered quietly. Nathan did not turn. How much of this was her job? Daniel looked around. Some. And the rest. Daniel was silent for a moment. Things she noticed. Nathan picked up one ledger. No extra compensation. No special title. No acknowledgement. No severance payment. No royal travel allowance. No recommendation request. Nothing. She refused all of it? Yes. Nathan looked up. Why? Daniel's expression softened. Maybe because she did not want anything from the crown. Nathan stared at the paper. 7 years beside him. Then gone without taking even the reward she had earned. Footsteps sounded outside. You knew? Vanessa hesitated. I knew she might. Nathan stood. Why? Daniel Carter's expression hardened. Vanessa continued. She was carrying the northern correspondence when Chancellor Hayes began discussing the alliance. Nathan remembered. Claire standing near the council table. Quiet. Professional. Her hands tightening around a stack of letters when Hayes said Vanessa's name. Nathan had noticed. He had simply assumed she was tired. What exactly did she hear? Vanessa folded her arms. That my father would support the Western Defense Agreement if the crown considered a marriage between us. Nathan's jaw tightened. I never agreed. I know. Nathan turned. Daniel opened a personnel ledger. Claire requested a transfer 3 times. Nathan frowned. When? 2 years ago. Again last spring. And 6 months ago. That is impossible. Daniel looked at him. You denied all 3. Nathan stared. Then memory returned. Claire standing inside his study with a folded request. I would like to transfer to the Royal Archive School. Nathan barely looking up from a military report. No, her quiet pause. May I ask why? I need you here. Another memory. Claire asking to move into civilian correspondence. Nathan signing the refusal. I need you here. Then 6 months ago. Claire standing near the window. More nervous than usual. I think another position might be better for me. Nathan had looked at her. Have you been mistreated? No, underpaid. No, then why leave? She had hesitated. And Nathan, impatient with an approaching council meeting, had ended the conversation. I need you here. The memory sickened him now. Nathan looked at Daniel. Why did she want to transfer? Daniel's expression was careful. She never told me directly. Then what do you know? That every time she tried to build a life outside your chambers, you gave her another reason to stay. Nathan's wolf shifted uneasily. I was not forcing her. No, Daniel's voice remained calm. You were asking for something she had trouble refusing. Nathan looked at him sharply. Daniel did not retreat. Vanessa spoke before Nathan could. She loved you. Silence. Nathan stared at her. What? Vanessa gave him an almost pitying look. You truly did not know. Nathan's chest tightened. No, how? His expression hardened. She never said anything. Vanessa laughed softly. Not everyone announces love like a political treaty. Nathan said nothing. She looked around Claire's office. She remembered your medicine, the foods you hated, your mother's memorial flowers. She stayed outside the war room when you were injured 2 winters ago. Nathan froze. He remembered that night. A border battle, a blade beneath his ribs. He had awakened near dawn. Claire sat asleep in a chair beside the healer's door. He had asked why she was still there. She had looked embarrassed. Someone had to make sure the morning correspondence was handled. Nathan had believed her. Another memory. His birthday. Claire had given him an old military history book he once mentioned wanting. He had thanked her, then spent the evening discussing pact treaties with counselors. She had smiled anyway. Another. A winter storm. Claire quietly fastening the repaired clasp on his riding cloak. His fingers had brushed hers. She had gone still. Nathan had moved away first because he was late. How many moments had he stepped over without seeing them? Daniel closed the personnel ledger. Nathan's voice came lower. She thought I chose Vanessa. Vanessa corrected him. She thought you were going to. Nathan looked at her. I had not decided. That was the problem. What does that mean? Vanessa's eyes sharpened. Claire spent years waiting for you to notice her without being told. Nathan's throat tightened. Daniel added quietly. And last night she finally heard enough to believe the answer was no. Nathan looked at the 3 denied transfer requests. Each carried his signature. Each followed by the same reason. King requires continued service. Requires. Needs. Never chooses. Nathan reached for his cloak. Daniel watched him. Where are you going? To find her. Vanessa stepped aside. Nathan stopped at the doorway. For the first time, he understood what Claire must have believed when she walked through the eastern gate alone. She had not left because the Alpha King had chosen another woman. She had left because after 7 years beside him, she no longer believed he would ever choose her. Come home. Nathan Blackwood's voice broke the silence between them. Claire Bennett stood beneath the wooden awning of a roadside healer's inn. Rain fell beyond the narrow porch. Travelers moved quietly through the stable yard. Claire held a small leather bag in one hand. She had changed out of her royal work dress. Simple brown skirt. Wool cloak. No Blackwood crest. No archive keys. Nothing that belonged to him. Nathan had spent most of the day following rumors from village gates, wagon drivers, and traders. He had imagined what he would say when he finally found her. None of those imagined speeches survived the moment she turned and looked at him. Claire did not smile. Why are you here? Nathan stopped several feet away. To find you. You did. Her calmness unsettled him. He had expected anger. Tears. Some sign that seeing him mattered. Instead, she looked tired. Come home, he repeated. Claire's fingers tightened around the bag. Why? Nathan frowned. Because you left in the middle of the night. That is when I chose to leave. You walked alone. I survived. That is not the point. What is? Nathan opened his mouth. Nothing came out immediately. Claire watched him. 7 years of knowing his silences made her understand before he did. You still do not know. His wolf moved restlessly beneath his skin. I know that I need you back. Claire laughed. Softly. Painfully. Nathan's chest tightened. What? She looked away toward the rain. That sentence. What about it? You have said it for years. Nathan went still. Claire faced him again. Every time I asked for a transfer. Her voice remained controlled. Every time I tried to build something outside your rooms. You told me you were unhappy with the position? No. Then how was I supposed to know? You were not. Nathan frowned. Claire continued. I never asked you to read my mind. Her eyes softened for one dangerous second. I only hoped that someday you would look at me without needing something first. Nathan felt the words like a blow. I cared about you. I know. You do? Yes. Claire's eyes filled. That was part of what made it worse. He stared at her. You trusted me. Yes. You relied on me. Yes. You were kind to me. Nathan's jaw tightened. Then why are you saying it like none of that mattered? It mattered too much. The answer stopped him. Claire looked toward the road leading north. For years, I convinced myself that being needed was close enough to being chosen. Nathan's breathing changed. Claire. She shook her head. No. Her voice cracked for the first time. You do not get to say my name like that now and make 7 years become something they were not. Nathan took one instinctive step forward. Claire stepped back. He stopped immediately. Her eyes noticed. Something passed through them. Not forgiveness, but recognition. Nathan lowered his voice. Vanessa told me. Claire went still. Told you what? That you heard the council discussing the northern marriage. Pain moved through her expression before she buried it. I did. I never accepted it. Claire looked at him. You never rejected it either. I was considering an alliance. I know. It was political. That does not make it hurt less. Nathan had no answer. Claire continued. I listened to men discuss which woman would strengthen your throne while I stood beside you holding the paperwork. Her voice dropped, and I finally understood that if I stayed, I would keep waiting for something you had never promised. Nathan looked at her. I would have told you before agreeing to anything. She almost smiled. Why? He frowned. Because you mattered. As your aide? No, the answer came too quickly. Claire's eyes sharpened. Nathan felt uncertainty rise inside him. He wanted her back. Wanted the castle to feel right again. Wanted her quiet presence beside his desk. Wanted the blue ribbon in her hand instead of his pocket. But Claire saw everything he could not yet name. You miss me, she said. Yes. You miss what I did for you. Nathan's jaw tightened. That is not all. Then what else? He looked at her. Nothing he could say felt honest enough. Claire nodded slowly. That is what I thought. She picked up her bag. Nathan's wolf surged. Claire. She stopped. He forced himself not to command. Not to reach. Not to become Alpha King simply because being Nathan felt insufficient. I do not know the difference yet. Claire looked back. The admission hurt more than pretending certainty. Nathan continued. But I want to. Her expression changed. Softer. Sadder. Then go back without me. His chest tightened. What? Go back to the castle. She stepped toward the rain. Live without everything I did for you. Nathan stared. And then, Claire pulled up her hood. Find out whether you missed the woman, her eyes met his, or the life she made easier. Nathan could have ordered the horses blocked, could have placed royal guards on the road, could have told her that leaving the Alpha King was not something people simply did. Instead, he stood beneath the awning and watched her walk away. Claire reached the edge of the road, then turned once. If you cannot tell the difference, do not follow me tomorrow. Nathan said nothing. She disappeared into the rain. For the first time in 7 years, he had found Claire Bennett. And for the first time in his life, finding her was not enough. Do not follow her. Daniel Carter's warning stopped Nathan Blackwood at the castle gates. Nathan turned. Dawn had barely touched the mountains. His horse was already saddled. Claire had told him exactly what to do. Go back. Live without her. Find out what he actually missed. Nathan hated every part of that instruction. His wolf hated it more. She is alone. Daniel folded his arms. She asked you not to follow. I am Alpha King. Yes. Nathan's eyes narrowed. Daniel continued. And for once, that is precisely the problem. Silence. Nathan looked toward the northern road. Claire was somewhere beyond those hills. He could reach her before noon. He could order an escort. A room prepared. Her old position restored. Anything. All of those thoughts sounded wrong now. Nathan slowly released the reins. Take the saddle off. Daniel nodded once. No approval. Just understanding. Nathan returned to Blackwood Castle alone. The first morning was unbearable. Not because the work was impossible. Because every room contained evidence of how little he had noticed. His medicine sat unfinished beside the mortar. He made it himself. Too bitter. He drank it anyway. The diplomatic correspondence arrived before breakfast. Nathan read every page. No summary. No blue ribbons. No quiet voice explaining which ambassador was pretending not to be angry. He found the relevant treaties himself. It took 2 hours. By midday, his wolf was restless. Normally, Claire would have noticed before he did. She would have moved the afternoon council meeting, opened the western balcony, sent someone for mountain tea. Nathan stood beside the window. There was no Claire, only the realization that she had been managing parts of him he had never learned to manage himself. Daniel entered with military reports. Nathan took them. Any message? Daniel knew what he meant. No, Nathan looked away. Good. The answer hurt. That mattered too. If Claire had written immediately, he might have convinced himself he was waiting for instructions. Instead, there was nothing. 3 days passed. Nathan learned to prepare his own schedule. He remembered his mother's memorial flowers without being reminded. He personally signed the widow payments Claire had tracked for years. On the 4th night, he returned to her former workspace. The room was almost empty now. Archive staff had removed the active files. Only one drawer remained locked. Nathan found the key inside the desk. He hesitated. Private property. He almost closed it again. Then he saw the label. Crown proposals, deferred. Official work. Nathan opened the drawer. One document sat beneath several old correspondence drafts. Moonridge School for Orphan Girls. Submitted by Claire Bennett. 2 years earlier. Nathan frowned. He remembered the title. Barely. Claire had brought him a proposal during winter negotiations. He had been exhausted. Hayes had been arguing over grain tariffs. Nathan had signed the review sheet without reading more than the summary. Defer. No funding available. He opened the proposal. The first page described girls in remote packed territories who could read but had no formal training. The second proposed archive instruction. Correspondence work. Record keeping. Basic healing literacy. Skills that could give orphan girls positions outside domestic service. Nathan kept reading. Claire had included costs. Locations. Teacher rotations. Donor pledges. Even a possible building. An abandoned schoolhouse near Margaret Bennett's mountain village. Moonridge. Nathan sat down. At the bottom of the final page was Claire's handwritten note. Not for council review. For herself. Someday. One word. Nathan stared at it. He remembered her first transfer request. Royal Archive School. Her second. Civilian correspondence. Her third. Another position might be better for me. All 3 times he had answered the same way. I need you here. Nathan closed his eyes. He had spent days asking whether he missed Claire or what she did for him. Now another question appeared. Had Claire stayed because she wanted his life? Or because every time she tried to build her own, he had asked her to postpone it? Daniel entered quietly. Nathan held up the proposal. Did you know about this? No. Nathan looked at the word someday again. His voice dropped. I never asked what she wanted. Daniel said nothing. There was nothing to add. Nathan folded the blue ribbon he had carried since the morning Claire left and placed it beside the proposal. For the first time, he understood that loving Claire could not begin with bringing her back. It had to begin with learning where she had been trying to go. Are you doing this to make her come back? Vanessa Whitmore's question stopped Nathan Blackwood before he entered the council chamber. He looked at the proposal in his hand. Moonridge School for Orphan Girls. Claire Bennett's name was written beneath the title. No, Vanessa studied him. That answer came quickly. Because I have spent 4 days asking myself the same question. And Nathan looked toward the closed council doors. I am doing this because I should have listened when she was still here. Vanessa's expression softened. That is a better answer. Nathan entered. Chancellor Richard Hayes was already seated. Daniel Carter stood near the wall. Several Northern representatives occupied the opposite side of the table. Hayes looked at the document. What is that? A funding proposal. Nathan placed it in front of him. Hayes opened the first page. His expression changed. This was deferred 2 years ago. Yes. For good reason. Nathan Saturday, what reason? The Crown had other priorities. Did anyone read the entire proposal? Hayes frowned. I read the summary. So did I. Nathan's voice remained calm. That was the problem. Hayes leaned back. What exactly are you proposing now? A school at Moonridge. Nathan looked around the table. Archive training. Correspondence instruction. Basic healing literacy. Positions for orphan girls who currently have almost no access to Crown employment. One Northern representative lifted an eyebrow. And why has this suddenly become urgent? Nathan looked at him. It was urgent 2 years ago. Silence. Hayes closed the proposal. The education reserve is already committed. To what? You know to what? Nathan did. The Northern Alliance. Ceremonial travel. Joint military negotiations. And funds reserved for the possibility of a royal marriage arrangement with Vanessa. Nathan's jaw tightened. How much of the reserve is actually required for defense? Hayes hesitated. That is not the issue. It is now. Daniel stepped forward with a ledger. The military portion can be separated from the marriage allocation. Hayes looked at him sharply. No one asked you. Nathan did. I am asking now. Daniel opened the ledger. Less than half is tied directly to military logistics. Nathan looked at Hayes. And the rest? Diplomatic commitments. Vanessa spoke from the far end of the chamber. Some of those commitments exist only if the marriage negotiations continue. Every head turned toward her. Hayes's face hardened. Lady Whitmore. She ignored him. Nathan did not. Is that correct? Yes. Vanessa folded her hands. My father offered expanded cavalry support if the Crown entered formal marriage talks. Nathan looked at the proposal again. For years, Claire had asked for a small school. The Crown had found money for banquets, political travel, marriage negotiations, but not for girls no one important expected to matter. Nathan looked toward Hayes. Send the proposal to financial review. Hayes stared. You intend to fund it. If it survives merit review. Your Majesty, this is clearly personal. Nathan's wolf stirred. He kept his voice level. No, Hayes gave him a skeptical look. The author leaves you, and 4 days later her forgotten proposal becomes royal policy? Nathan felt the accusation land. Fairly. He looked down at Claire's handwriting, then back at the council. That is exactly why I will not approve it by decree. Hayes went still. Nathan continued. Remove my name from the review order. Daniel's eyebrows lifted. Have the Education Council evaluate it against every competing proposal. Hayes said, and if they reject it? Nathan's chest tightened. Then they reject it. Vanessa watched him carefully. Nathan added, but they will actually read it first. Silence. That was the difference. Not royal favor. Attention. The thing Claire had asked for without ever saying it aloud. Hayes pushed the proposal back. There is still the question of funding. Nathan knew what came next. The Northern Marriage Reserve. Yes. Hayes leaned forward. If those negotiations remain active, the money is unavailable. Nathan's fingers tightened around the edge of the table. And if they do not remain active? The room changed. Vanessa looked at him. Hayes went pale. Your Majesty. Nathan did not answer yet. Because Claire was nowhere near the castle. She had made no promise. Sent no message. Asked for nothing. If he ended the marriage negotiations now, he could not pretend he was doing it in exchange for her return. That was what made the choice matter. Nathan looked at Claire's proposal. For the first time in 7 years, he was not asking what he needed from her. He was finally asking what she had wanted before he ever thought to listen. In the marriage negotiations, Nathan Blackwood's words stopped every conversation in the council chamber. Chancellor Richard Hayes stared at him. Vanessa Whitmore did not. She had expected this. Hayes pushed back from the table. Your Majesty, the Northern Alliance depends on those negotiations. No, Nathan's voice remained calm. The expanded cavalry agreement depends on them. That support protects the western border. Then we renegotiate the military agreement without tying it to a marriage. Hayes's face hardened. And if Lord Whitmore refuses? Nathan looked at him. Then we adapt. Silence. The choice was not painless. Nathan knew that. Northern cavalry could reinforce the western passes before winter. Without them, Blackwood forces would need to redistribute. More expense, more pressure, more risk. But none of that made marriage a reasonable price for avoiding difficult leadership. Vanessa finally spoke. For the record, I agree. Hayes turned toward her. Lady Whitmore, I have no interest in becoming Luna because 2 councils find it efficient. Nathan looked at her. A faint understanding passed between them. Not affection, respect. Hayes closed the Moonridge proposal. And what shall I tell the council when they ask why their king abandoned a powerful alliance days after Claire Bennett left? Nathan's jaw tightened. The truth. Hayes almost laughed. Which truth? That I allowed political convenience to become a substitute for choice. The room went still. Nathan continued. And that ends now. Daniel Carter stepped forward. The Moonridge proposal passed preliminary education review this morning. Nathan looked at him. So quickly, they actually read it. Something inside Nathan tightened. Daniel placed the evaluation on the table. Highest score in rural access. Another page. Second highest in cost efficiency. Then another. Full recommendation for a 1-year pilot. Hayes frowned. And the funding? Daniel looked at Nathan. If the ceremonial marriage reserve is released, the pilot is covered without touching military accounts. Nathan nodded. Then release it. Hayes exhaled sharply. This will look like a gift to Claire Bennett. Nathan looked at Claire's name on the proposal. Then do not name the school after her. Daniel raised an eyebrow. Nathan continued. She proposed Moonridge because those girls needed it. His voice lowered. Not because she wanted a monument. Hayes said nothing. By evening, the Northern marriage talks were formally withdrawn. The Moonridge pilot entered public funding review. Nathan signed both decisions. Claire knew nothing about either. That mattered. Later, he returned to his private study. The blue ribbon still rested beside the Moonridge proposal. Daniel entered with outgoing correspondence. Nathan picked up a blank sheet. I want to send her a letter. Daniel waited. Nathan began writing. Then stopped. His first sentence read, come back. He stared at it. Slowly, he crossed it out. He tried again. Claire, the castle is not the same without you. He crossed that out too. Still about him. Still about what he had lost. Nathan leaned back. For years, Claire had written hundreds of letters in his name. Diplomatic letters. Condolences. Orders. Invitations. She always seemed to know exactly what needed to be said. Now he understood how difficult honesty could be when no one else was there to shape it. Finally, he wrote, Claire, I am not asking you to return. Nathan stopped. The sentence hurt. Good. He continued. I read the Moonridge proposal. All of it. 2 years late. I do not know whether you still want that life, but I understand now that I never truly asked. The proposal is under independent review. If it survives, it will be because it deserves to. Not because you left. Not because I miss you. He paused, then added, I also ended the northern marriage negotiations. That decision is mine. You owe me nothing for it. Nathan stared at the final line for a long time. I should have asked where you wanted to go instead of always telling you why I needed you to stay. He signed his name. Not Alpha King. Nathan. Daniel took the letter. Do you want an answer requested? Nathan looked at him. No, that was harder than sending it. 3 days later, Claire received the letter at Margaret Bennett's mountain cottage. She read it once. Then again. Her fingers stopped over the sentence. You owe me nothing. Margaret watched from across the room. Are you going to answer? Claire looked toward the mountains. No, Margaret nodded. Claire folded the letter carefully. Not because it meant nothing. Because it meant too much to answer before she understood what she felt. Back at Blackwood Castle, Nathan received no reply. He continued with council work anyway. The Moonridge proposal advanced. The Northern Alliance weakened. Military commanders began rearranging winter defenses. Nathan accepted every consequence. Then, during the next public council session, Richard Hayes stood before the assembled pack leaders. His voice carried through Moon Hall. The kingdom deserves to know why its Alpha King abandoned a strategic marriage days after Claire Bennett left the palace. Nathan's expression hardened. Hayes continued, and whether a former royal aide has been influencing crown decisions from outside these walls. Far away, Claire had no idea her silence was about to be turned into an accusation. Claire Bennett did not make me reject this marriage. Nathan Blackwood's voice carried through Moon Hall. Every pack leader turned toward him. Richard Hayes stood near the council table with a stack of correspondence records spread before him. Claire stood on the opposite side of the chamber. She had arrived less than 20 minutes earlier. No royal summons. No escort. No warning. Nathan had seen her enter and forgotten how to breathe. She wore a dark green traveling cloak over a simple medieval dress. No Blackwood crest. No archive keys. Nothing that suggested she had returned to serve him. Claire looked at Hayes. I heard you accused me of influencing crown decisions. Hayes lifted his chin. The timing speaks for itself. What timing? You leave Blackwood Castle. He pointed toward Nathan. Days later, the Alpha King ends negotiations with Lady Vanessa Whitmore. Another document. Then a proposal written by you receives royal funding consideration. Claire's expression remained calm. So your evidence is that 2 events happened after I left. The king sent you correspondence. 1 letter. Hayes turned toward the assembly. Exactly. Claire reached into her travel bag. Nathan watched her place a sealed packet on the table. What is that? Hayes asked. My travel record. Daniel Carter stepped forward. Claire opened it. In the 12 days after I left Blackwood Castle, I stayed first at the Riverbend Healers Inn. She placed a signed lodging record on the table. Then at my Aunt Margaret's cottage in Moonridge. Another record. Village gate entries. Another. Courier registry. Hayes frowned. Claire continued. I received exactly 1 letter from Nathan Blackwood. The way she used his name instead of his title sent a murmur through the nobles. She ignored it. I did not answer. Hayes looked toward Nathan. But you knew about the school proposal. Because I wrote it 2 years ago. You benefited from the king reconsidering it. Claire's eyes sharpened. It passed independent education review. Daniel placed the official evaluation beside her documents. No royal override, he said. Hayes ignored him. Claire stepped closer. If the proposal fails final review tomorrow, I will still support it. She held Hayes's gaze. If it succeeds, I will still not owe the crown my service. The hall went quiet. Hayes looked toward Nathan. Your Majesty, surely you recognize how this appears. Nathan stood. Claire immediately looked at him. A warning. Do not rescue me. He understood. Nathan remained beside his seat. Claire has answered the accusation against her. Hayes frowned. And the accusation against you? Nathan's expression hardened. That one deserves an answer. He descended from the royal platform. Not toward Claire. Toward the center of Moon Hall. The marriage negotiations with Vanessa Whitmore ended because I ended them. Hayes opened his mouth. Nathan continued. Claire did not request it. She did not suggest it. She did not promise to return if I did it. His gaze moved across the assembled pack leaders. She was not even present when the decision was made. Vanessa rose from the northern delegation. That is true. Hayes looked at her. Vanessa continued. I also supported ending the negotiations. Murmurs spread. Nathan looked toward Claire. Her expression had not softened. Good. He was not doing this for forgiveness. He faced the council again. Claire Bennett did not make me reject a political marriage. His voice lowered. She left because for years I failed to notice how many choices I was making for her. Silence. Claire stopped breathing. Nathan continued. She asked for transfers. I refused them. She built a proposal for a life outside my chambers. I barely read it. She gave 7 years to the crown, and I mistook her willingness to stay for proof that she wanted nothing else. Hayes stared at him. You are admitting weakness before the pack. Nathan looked at him. No, I am admitting responsibility. His wolf remained calm. For once, Nathan did not feel smaller for telling the truth. He felt clearer. The northern marriage was politically convenient. He glanced toward Vanessa. But convenience is not consent. Vanessa nodded once. Nathan continued. And Claire's departure did not manipulate me. He looked directly at her. It forced me to recognize how often I had confused being needed with being chosen. Claire's eyes filled. She looked away before anyone could see too much. Hayes lowered his papers. The accusation had collapsed. Samuel Warren, overseeing the public council inquiry, spoke from the elder bench. Is there any evidence Miss Bennett communicated instructions regarding the marriage negotiations or Moonridge funding? Hayes said nothing. Samuel repeated, any evidence? No. Then the accusation is dismissed. Claire exhaled. Nathan did not approach her. She had come back for her name. Not for him. He would remember that. Hours later, Moon Hall emptied. Claire stood alone near the eastern doors. Nathan approached slowly. You did not have to come. Yes, I did. He nodded. For yourself. For myself. Silence settled between them. Nathan looked at her traveling cloak. Are you leaving again? Claire studied him. Months ago, he would have asked her to stay before understanding why. This time he waited. Finally, she said, that depends. His pulse changed. On what? Claire's warm brown eyes held his. On why you want me to stay. Nathan went still. Claire did not look away. For the first time, she was not asking whether the Alpha King needed her. She was asking whether Nathan Blackwood had finally learned how to choose her. I want a life that does not begin and end with what the Alpha King needs. Claire Bennett's words settled between them. Moon Hall was nearly empty now. Nathan Blackwood stood several feet away. He did not move closer, did not defend himself, did not say her name as though saying it softly could change the past. Claire appreciated that. What does that life look like? He asked. She watched him carefully. That was different. Not, come home. Not, I need you. A question. My aunt's village. Nathan nodded. Moonridge. Yes. And the school. If the proposal survives final review, I want to run it. You would leave royal service permanently. I already did. A flicker of pain crossed his face. He accepted it. Claire continued. I want to train girls who would otherwise spend their lives being told they should be grateful for whatever position someone gives them. Nathan's expression tightened slightly. She knew he heard the accusation hidden inside the truth. I want archive training, correspondence, basic healer records, and enough independence that a girl can leave one job without believing she has nowhere else to go. Nathan lowered his gaze. I understand. Claire shook her head. You are beginning to. He looked back at her. Fair. Silence. Then Nathan asked, would you live at the castle at all? Claire almost laughed. You are moving ahead very quickly. I am gathering information. You are terrible at making that sound casual. A faint smile appeared, then disappeared. Claire folded her hands. I do not want my old chambers. Done. Her eyebrow lifted. Nathan caught himself. Understood. Better. I do not want my former position restored. It will not be. I do not want council members deciding that because you care about me, I automatically belong beside your throne. Nathan's wolf shifted quietly beneath his skin, but his voice remained steady. They will try. I know. And I will tell them to speak to you. Claire studied him. Not answer for me. No, something in her chest softened. Dangerously. Nathan stepped closer. Only one step. Claire. She waited. I know why I wanted you back the morning you left. Her breathing changed. Nathan continued. I wanted the castle to feel normal again. The honesty hurt. He did not look away. I wanted my schedule fixed. My correspondence prepared. My medicine where I expected it. Claire swallowed. Nathan's voice lowered. I missed what you did for me before I understood how much I missed you. She stared at him. And now I know I would rather learn how to make my own medicine badly for the rest of my life than ask you to return to a life that made you disappear. Claire almost smiled. Your medicine is terrible. Daniel has mentioned that. She laughed softly. Nathan looked at her as if he had missed that sound more than anything else in the castle. Maybe he had. Then he said, I do not want you to stay because I need you. Claire's smile faded. What do you want? Nathan took a breath. I want to know you when you are not serving me. Her heart began beating harder. I want to know what you read when the book is not mine. What work makes you happy? What makes you angry when you are not protecting me from it? Claire looked away. 7 years. She had imagined hearing words like these. Back then, she would have accepted them immediately. That woman no longer existed. Nathan seemed to understand. I am not asking you to come back. Good. I am asking something else. Claire looked at him. Nathan did not kneel. Did not invoke the mate laws. Did not offer a title. May I court you? Claire stared. The Alpha King looked almost nervous. That alone nearly made her laugh. You? Yes. Court me? Yes. As Nathan Blackwood? His mouth curved faintly. I was hoping to leave most of the Alpha King outside the door. Claire considered him. You may try. Hope crossed his face. She immediately lifted one finger. That was not acceptance. I heard permission. You heard permission to try. I am learning to appreciate small victories. Months later, Moonridge School opened. Claire stood at the front doors while 12 orphan girls carried books into the old stone building. Nathan arrived without a royal procession. One horse. One guard. No council. He brought donated ledgers. Claire inspected them. These are actually useful. I asked first. Progress. He smiled. Their courtship became something neither of them had experienced before. Walks with no agenda. Letters Claire did not have to answer. Arguments where Nathan did not outrank her. Visits that ended when she said she was tired. He learned her favorite tea. Not because he needed it prepared. Because she liked it. Then one winter morning, Nathan woke before sunrise in the small guest room at Moonridge. For one terrible second, the old panic returned. Claire was not inside. He rose, then stopped. No alarm. No command. No search party. Nathan opened the balcony door. Claire stood outside wrapped in a wool cloak, watching dawn spread across the mountains. She glanced back. You are awake early. Nathan leaned against the doorway. Years ago, he would have asked where she had gone. Now he simply held up 2 cups. Coffee. Claire smiled. Yes. He joined her. She was there because she had chosen to be. And Nathan finally understood the difference. He had searched for Claire by dawn because he could not imagine his life without everything she gave him. He began earning her much later, when he learned to love her without asking her to give herself away. You cannot keep coming to Moonridge like an ordinary man and expect the kingdom to pretend you are not the Alpha King. Claire Bennett looked up from the school ledger. Nathan Blackwood stood in the doorway of her office holding a wooden crate of writing paper. Outside, 12 girls crossed the courtyard carrying books between the classrooms. Moonridge School had been open for 3 months. Long enough for the first excitement to fade. Long enough for real problems to appear. Nathan set the crate down. I am not asking the kingdom to pretend anything. Claire raised an eyebrow. You arrived with 1 guard. You said royal processions frighten the younger students. They do. So I brought 1 guard. You also carried the supplies yourself. They were not heavy. That is not the point. Nathan almost smiled. Claire tried not to. Their courtship had become easier. That frightened her more than when it had been difficult. Nathan no longer arrived expecting her schedule to change around him. He wrote before visiting. He left when she had work. He listened when she disagreed. And somehow, those ordinary things were rebuilding something 7 years of silent love had nearly destroyed. Claire closed the ledger. Why are you really here? His expression changed. There is a council matter. She sighed. Of course there is. Nathan handed her a sealed document. Claire broke the wax. Her eyes moved quickly across the page. then stopped. They want the school placed under direct Crown administration. Yes. Her jaw tightened. Why? The program is succeeding. That is usually considered good news. It also means several pack leaders want copies of it. Claire looked at him. And the council wants control before it expands. Yes. She stood. No, I assumed that would be your answer. Then why bring it? Because they will present the proposal formally next week. Claire stared at him. And you want me prepared. I want you informed. The distinction mattered. She looked down again. The council's argument sounded reasonable. Standardized funding, royal oversight, permanent staffing. But Claire recognized the danger immediately. If Moonridge became another royal department, future girls would depend on whichever king sat on the throne, just as Claire once had. They are offering security, she said. Nathan nodded, and asking for authority in exchange. You agree with me? I agree that you should decide what the school needs. Claire folded the document. That is not the same as agreeing. No, he leaned against the table. I think some Crown support would protect the program. She looked at him sharply. But direct control would destroy the reason you built it. Claire studied him. 7 years ago, you would have simply ordered the school protected. Nathan's mouth tightened. 7 years ago, I thought protection and control were much closer than they are. Something warm moved through her chest. She hated how easily he could still reach places inside her. Claire crossed toward the window. Girls were practicing correspondence forms beneath the covered walkway. One of them, Lucy Parker, had arrived unable to write her own family name. Yesterday, she had completed her first formal letter. This cannot become mine forever either, Claire said. Nathan frowned. What do you mean? If Moonridge depends on me the way your life once depended on me, I have built the same mistake in a different shape. He went still. Claire turned. I want a governing board. Independent. Mostly. One Crown representative. Nathan almost laughed. That sounds dangerous. I was thinking Daniel. Even worse. Claire smiled, then became serious. 2 former students eventually. Good. A healer. Nathan nodded. A village representative. Yes. And no permanent authority for you. He placed a hand over his chest. Personally wounded. You will survive. I usually do. Claire walked back to the desk. I will present it myself. Nathan did not hesitate. Of course. She looked at him. You are not going to speak first? No. Or tell the council what I mean. No, or threaten anyone? He considered. Can I reserve that option? Nathan. Fine. Claire laughed. His wolf warmed quietly beneath his skin. He looked at her. Not like an aide. Not like a missing piece returned to its old place. Like a woman whose life existed even when he left the room. Nathan picked up his cloak. I should go. Claire glanced outside. It is almost dark. I know. The western road is rough after rain. I know. She hesitated, then said, You could stay for dinner. Nathan stopped. He looked back carefully. Claire immediately pointed at him. Do not make that face. What face? The one where you turn one dinner into a royal victory. I would never. You absolutely would. Nathan smiled. Then I accept one ordinary dinner. Claire shook her head. But when they walked toward the school dining hall together, she realized something had changed again. Once, Nathan had wanted her back because his life felt incomplete without her. Now he was learning how to stand beside the life she had built without him. And Claire was beginning to discover that choosing someone did not have to mean disappearing into them. If Moonridge survives only because the Alpha King protects it, Claire Bennett said, then I have built another cage with prettier walls. The council chamber went silent. Claire stood at the center table with the Moonridge School charter opened beneath her hands. Nathan Blackwood sat at the head of the chamber. He had promised not to speak first. So far, he had kept that promise. Chancellor Richard Hayes had not. The Crown funds most of Moonridge's expansion. Claire looked at him. For the pilot year. And therefore the Crown requires permanent administrative authority. No, Hayes's expression hardened. No, the Crown deserves financial accountability. Claire turned a page. Quarterly audits. Another. Public expenditure records. Another. Annual academic review. She met his eyes. It does not need control over who teaches, who is admitted, or what positions graduates pursue. One counselor leaned forward. What happens when Miss Bennett is no longer there? Claire nodded. That is exactly why I am proposing a board. She listed the seats. 1 elected village representative. 1 healer. 1 independent archivist. one Crown representative. And once former students reach adulthood, 2 graduate seats. Hayes almost laughed. Students governing a royal-funded institution? Former students. They will lack political experience. Claire's voice remained calm. So did I when the Crown hired me at 20. Nathan's mouth twitched. Hayes noticed. Your Majesty, perhaps you would remind Miss Bennett that government requires expertise. Nathan looked at Claire. She waited. Then he said, she appears to be demonstrating some. A few people hid smiles. Claire gave him a warning look. Nathan leaned back. That was not speaking for you. Barely. The tension loosened. Then Hayes placed another document on the table. If the school rejects Crown administration, the expansion grant should be reconsidered. Claire's stomach tightened. There it was. Not argument. Leverage. Nathan's wolf stirred. Claire felt his anger before he moved. She looked at him. Do not. Nathan remained seated. Hayes saw the exchange. You cannot expect royal money without royal authority. Claire closed the charter. Then keep the expansion grant. Silence. Nathan's eyes sharpened. Hayes blinked. What? Moonridge stays independent. Claire's heart pounded. The expansion would have added 2 classrooms. A winter dormitory. 30 more students. Giving it up hurt. That was why the choice mattered. We will remain at current capacity another year. Hayes stared. You would deny 30 girls education over governance language? Claire's expression hardened. No, I would refuse to build a school that teaches girls independence while proving that independence disappears the moment someone offers enough money. The chamber became completely still. Nathan looked at her with something deeper than pride. Respect that did not need rescuing. Counselor Mercer spoke. There may be another option. Claire turned. Private PAC contributions. Hayes frowned. Mercer continued. If Moonridge keeps independent governance, participating territories could fund student placements directly. Claire considered. Without controlling admissions? Agreed. Or curriculum? Agreed. Nathan finally spoke. The Crown can also convert its expansion grant into a fixed 5-year education trust. Hayes turned sharply. That still uses royal funds. Yes. But without direct administration? Nathan looked toward Claire. If the council approves. Claire caught the wording. Not done. Not. I order it. She smiled slightly. Better. Nathan noticed. The council debated for nearly 2 hours. The final structure was imperfect. Claire preferred that. Perfect systems usually depended on perfect people. Moonridge would receive protected funding from multiple PACs. Its board would control operations. The Crown representative would hold 1 vote. No more. When Samuel Warren announced the measure had passed, Claire released a breath she had not realized she was holding. Outside the chamber, Nathan found her beside the stone balcony. You gave up the expansion grant before knowing there was another solution. Yes. That could have cost you a year. Yes. Were you afraid? Claire looked toward the mountains. Terrified. Nathan stood beside her. Why did you do it? Because I spent 7 years staying somewhere, because I was afraid of losing what I had. She looked at him. I will not teach those girls to make the same bargain. Nathan absorbed the words quietly. Then he reached into his coat. Claire narrowed her eyes. What now? He handed her a folded paper. Not royal stationery. A personal note. She opened it. Dinner Friday? Claire looked up. You wrote an invitation? You said I should ask. You could have asked verbally. I panicked. She laughed. Nathan smiled. Is that a yes? Claire folded the note. Yes. His expression brightened. She pointed at him. 1 dinner. I know. No council business. Agreed. No school funding. Agreed. Claire started toward the stairs. Nathan followed, then stopped when she did. She looked back. For years, loving him had meant waiting for Nathan to notice what she never said. Now he was learning to ask. And Claire was finally learning that saying yes felt entirely different when no remained possible. If loving you means becoming useful to the Crown again, Claire Bennett said, then I would rather stop before we begin. Nathan Blackwood went completely still. They stood inside Moonridge School's small dining room. Friday evening. No council papers. No military reports. No royal servants. Nathan had kept every promise about the dinner. Until Daniel Carter arrived at the door carrying a sealed message. Claire looked at the Blackwood crest. What happened? Daniel hesitated. Nathan held out his hand. Give it to me. He broke the seal. His expression changed. Claire noticed immediately. What? Nathan read silently. Then looked at Daniel. Who approved this agenda? The Royal Assembly Committee. Claire frowned. What agenda? Daniel answered carefully. The Spring Pack Assembly. Nathan's jaw tightened. And Daniel looked toward Claire. One of the proposed resolutions concerns the future Royal Luna. Silence. Claire felt something cold move through her. Nathan folded the paper. There is no Royal Luna. That is their argument, Daniel said. The council believes prolonged uncertainty affects succession planning. Claire almost laughed. Of course. She had spent years standing quietly beside Nathan while other people discussed which woman should strengthen his throne. Now she was finally building a life of her own. And somehow the throne had found her again. Daniel continued. Several pack leaders know you are courting Claire. Nathan's eyes hardened. They had no authority to announce that. They did not. Daniel paused. They are requesting that if the courtship becomes formal, Claire accept a recognized royal role. Claire stared at him. What kind of role? Royal companion. Her expression tightened, meaning residence requirements. Nathan's wolf stirred. Daniel continued reluctantly. Ceremonial duties. Council appearances. Potential succession obligations if the relationship progresses. Claire looked at Nathan. There it was. The old pattern. She stayed close to him. The crown decided what she should become. Nathan put the paper down. No, Claire folded her arms. Nathan caught himself. He looked at her. I oppose it. Better. Daniel almost smiled. Claire did not. What happens if I refuse? Daniel answered. Nothing legally. And politically? Some pack leaders may argue that the Alpha King cannot maintain a serious courtship with someone unwilling to serve the crown. Claire looked toward the school courtyard. The windows glowed with lamplight. Girls were finishing evening lessons in the next building. This was her life now. Not waiting beside Nathan's desk. Not arranging his world. Her own. Nathan watched her. What are you thinking? Claire turned. That I knew this would happen eventually. His expression tightened. I can stop the resolution. With an order? Yes. Claire shook her head. Then the next council brings it back. Nathan knew she was right. What do you want? The question still mattered every time he asked it. I want to speak at the assembly. Nathan frowned. You do not owe them an explanation. No, Claire stepped closer. But I owe myself one. 3 weeks later, Moon Hall was full. Claire stood where she had once waited silently with Nathan's correspondence. This time, she carried nothing. Counselor Hayes rose. Miss Bennett, no one wishes to interfere with your independence. Claire almost smiled. Then this should be easy. A few nobles shifted. Hayes continued. The Alpha King's personal life affects the crown. Yes. If your courtship continues, the pacts require clarity. About what? Whether you intend to accept the responsibilities traditionally attached to the king's chosen partner. Claire looked toward Nathan. He sat on the royal platform. Watching. Waiting. Not rescuing. Claire faced Hayes again. I spent 7 years giving this crown pieces of myself because I believed being useful was the closest I would ever come to being loved. Moon Hall became silent. I will not repeat that mistake with a better title. Hayes frowned. No one is asking you to become a servant. You are asking whether loving Nathan obligates me to become an institution. A murmur spread. Claire continued. I run Moonridge School. I intend to keep running it. I will not live permanently at Blackwood Castle. I will not abandon my work because the kingdom prefers its romances administratively convenient. Someone near the eastern benches laughed before quickly stopping. Nathan's mouth almost curved. Hayes looked toward him. Your Majesty, surely the crown requires compromise. Nathan stood. Claire felt her heartbeat change. He descended from the platform, but stopped several feet away from her. I agree. Claire watched him. Hayes relaxed too soon. Nathan continued. The crown will compromise. Silence. If Claire ever chooses a formal place beside me, that role will be negotiated with her. He looked across the assembly. Not assigned to her. One elder Alpha frowned. And if she refuses all royal duties? Nathan answered calmly. Then she refuses them. What of succession? We address succession separately. What of tradition? Nathan's expression hardened. Tradition is not consent. Claire stopped breathing. The same lesson that had ended the Vanessa negotiations now applied to her. Publicly, Nathan continued. If loving the Alpha King requires a woman to surrender the life she built before he noticed its value, then the crown has learned nothing. Moon Hall went still. Hayes slowly sat. No applause followed. Claire was grateful. This was not a performance. It was a boundary. Afterward, Nathan found her outside beneath the stone archway. Snowmelt ran from the castle roofs. Claire looked at him. You just made your future significantly more complicated. Yes. The council will complain. They are gifted at it. She smiled, then became serious. Nathan. He waited. If I never become Luna? His answer came without hesitation. I will still want you. If I never live here, I will visit Moonridge. If I choose the school over a royal ceremony, I will ask whether there is room for me afterward. Claire's throat tightened. Years ago, she had loved him in silence because she believed wanting more would cost her the little she already had. Now Nathan stood before her offering something she had never imagined. Not a place inside his life. Room for both of theirs. Claire stepped closer. Friday dinner next week. Hope appeared in his face. At Moonridge? Yes. One guard. One. No council papers? None. Claire smiled. Then I will see you Friday. Nathan watched her walk toward the castle gates. He did not ask her to stay, and Claire realized that was exactly why, for the first time, she was beginning to think about coming back on her own. I am not coming back to Blackwood Castle. Nathan Blackwood looked across the Moonridge courtyard at Claire Bennett. Spring had reached the mountains. The last snow had melted from the stone walls. Behind Claire, students carried ledgers into the schoolhouse while younger girls practiced formal correspondence beneath the covered walkway. Nathan nodded. I know. Claire studied him. You did not even flinch. I have had practice. She almost smiled. 1 year had passed since the morning she walked out of Blackwood Castle before dawn. A year since Nathan had searched every road because he could not understand why she had gone. Now he stood in the life she had built without him, and Claire no longer needed to disappear to protect it. Nathan reached inside his coat. I brought something. Claire raised an eyebrow. No royal documents. None. No council petitions. None. He held out a narrow blue ribbon. Claire stopped breathing. The ribbon she had left on her desk beside her resignation. You kept it? Yes. For a year. Nathan looked almost embarrassed. It reminded me of the first morning I realized how much I had failed to notice. Claire took it. Her fingers brushed his. Nathan did not close his hand around hers. He waited. Claire looked at the ribbon. For years, I used these to mark everything you could not afford to ignore. I remember. You ignored several anyway. I remember that too. A laugh escaped her. Nathan smiled. Then his expression became serious. The council approved the Moonridge Charter permanently. Claire's head lifted. With the independent board? Yes. Graduate seats? Yes. No crown control over admissions? None. And if another Alpha King changes his mind? He cannot do it alone. Claire stared at him. That mattered more than promises. Nathan had finally learned that good intentions were not protection if the entire system depended on one powerful man remaining good. Claire folded the ribbon around her fingers. So why are you here? To have breakfast. She narrowed her eyes. Only breakfast? Nathan considered. And to ask you something. There it is. He laughed softly. Then he looked at her with the uncertainty she had once believed Alpha Kings never felt. I do not want you to come back. Claire went still. Nathan continued. I do not want your old office filled. I do not want your schedule arranged around mine. I do not want you beside the throne because the council finds it convenient. His voice lowered. I want a life where neither of us has to disappear inside the other. Claire's throat tightened. What does that look like? I do not know. She blinked. Nathan smiled faintly. I thought you might appreciate an answer that was not already decided for you. She did. Far more than she wanted to admit. He continued. Some weeks I come here. Some weeks you come to Blackwood Castle if you want to. You keep Moonridge. I keep being king. We argue about whose roads are worse. Yours. Nathan. Fine. We investigate independently. Claire laughed. His expression softened. And someday, if you want something more formal, we discuss it. No assumptions? None. No title hidden inside the question? None. Claire stepped closer. What exactly are you asking? Nathan looked at her. Will you keep choosing this with me? Not forever. Not obedience. Not stay. This. Claire looked toward the school. Toward the mountains. Toward the man who had once believed needing her was enough reason for her to remain. Then she reached for his hand. Yes. Nathan's fingers closed gently around hers. The next morning, Claire woke before sunrise. Old habit. She stepped onto the balcony outside the guest room Nathan used whenever he stayed at Moonridge. The mountains were turning gold. Minutes later, the door opened behind her. Nathan appeared carrying 2 cups. He did not look alarmed. He did not ask where she had been. He simply lifted 1 cup. Coffee. Claire smiled. Please. He joined her at the railing. 1 year earlier, Don had found the Alpha King searching desperately for the woman who had vanished from his life. Now Don found them standing side by side. Claire could still leave. Nathan knew it. That was what made staying mean something. She leaned her shoulder gently against his. Nathan looked toward her. Good morning. Claire smiled. Good morning. For years, she had loved him in silence. Then she had finally chosen herself loudly enough to walk away. Nathan had searched for her by dawn, but finding her had never been the victory. The victory came much later, when he learned that love was not asking Claire Bennett to return to his life. It was becoming someone she could freely choose to let into hers.